Good morning, YouTube. So I thought that I would give you an update on a couple of the projects that I've been discussing just recently. The equipment mount that I've mocked up. I've trialled that now for a couple of rides, and yeah, as suspected, it's got a few issues, and I'll talk through that. The power management module is now installed and reprogrammed completely, and I'll show you that. Now, I also need to, on that particular item, I want to say a shout out to Chris Hickson, or Hickston, I hope I've got your surname right there, Chris, from Row Electronics in the US. He really came to the table and gave me a lot of support in identifying a piece of hardware that I needed to get the programming of my device done, and also sent me across a number of photographs that allowed me to make up a custom cable that I needed to connect the two devices. So yeah, I really have to thank him for that, because that was above and beyond, and is greatly appreciated. And I'll show you the jumper leads, which are now installed and completed. And then the last thing that I'll run you through is the plastic welding and the bogging that I've been doing on the bike. So yeah, let's crack on and show you all of that.
Jazz on the hi-fi.
Yeah, threw my hat into the ring. I've done all the dumb things. Well, I thought that I just had to sing. I've done all the dumb things.
So let's start where we kicked off last time, with the equipment dash. So the goal of this thing is to allow me to install items such as cameras, GPS in the dash area, because I don't really like them mounted on the handlebars. I like the handlebars area to be cleaner than some bikes have with all this equipment. So I'm looking to make a mount, and what I've done is I've made a mock-up of a mount that I've seen on other bikes. And one of the challenges I thought I was going to have with this mount, and this is rung true, is that this mount goes down onto some steel fittings here, but the steel that's been used here is far too light, and with the weight, particularly with the weight of this camera and its mounting bracket, has just really taken this thing off centre. And I'll throw some footage in of a very short ride that I did where I had this thing on, and the video is almost unusable as a result. The GPS, surprisingly, even though it does bounce around, is actually still usable. Worst case scenario, if I can't find a remedy to stiffen this frame up, I could probably just dump the camera and continue to use the GPS. Where I'm going with this is, if I can get the glare of the windscreen, down in here. I have to be careful with this, because they are the slots that the windscreen mechanism drives up and down, but this center mechanism is actually lower, and it doesn't come all the way to the top. And actually just down in here there is a mounting bolt for the clocks, and I'm thinking that if I can get a bar to come up through that hole and then bend over, I could probably, let me do this without the glare getting there, I could probably mount it up against the back of this structure here and create a nice triangle. The object here is to create a frame that I could take off, and has made no obvious changes or damage to the bike. That would be my preference. If I have to go cutting the fairing and the actual bike around, then that might happen. But right now I'm trying to do it without doing that. So that's the next challenge. And then once I've got the actual stiffness of this thing sorted out, and I've got things mounted correctly, then I'll make something that's aesthetically a lot nicer up. One of the other challenges I've noticed is the handguards, which I really like. They really do a good job. These are you know, a classic change for an FJR's V-Strom, Suzuki V-Strom handguards. Physically fit around the area, but you have to do some slight modifications to be able to attach them, which I've done. And they make a massive difference because I like to wear a lighter weight glove. But as a result, they have taken up quite a lot of the area that I have available to me in the turning space. So even with this, I mean, that's got to be what, you know, a couple of inches of space that I've used there. Even that is, I've noticed, knocks on the handguards at certain lock positions when I'm manoeuvring the bike around. So yeah, that in itself is turning out to be a bit of a challenge. The other issue I'm having to be careful about is the distance I have between the camera and the windscreen isn't that much, and if I try and lower this too much, it just gets in the way of the controls. So particularly with this thing diving around like a freaking lunatic, it's been tapping against the windscreen, which I'm not overly impressed about. So that's that. Controls, I've been trying different levers. I quite like them. I can, you know, adjust the weight of the pull, which is the reason that I've put them on. I've completely stuffed up the angle, and I've noticed on my last couple of rides I'm getting a really sore wrist. No, not from bathroom activities, from clutch lever movements, and that I think is because I've actually tilted the angle of the levers are in the wrong position, so I have to probably loosen them up and actually ride it and force them into the proper position where they're comfortable. So that I still haven't quite got worked out. I gave up on the original heated grips. I had a set of original grips, and down in this area here there is a position to put the original heated grip controller. In long story short, it just wouldn't work. I had the grip controller tested by a professional, and it was perfectly fine. The grips test perfectly fine, and if you run them up with the heated controller off the bike, everything works. As soon as you connect it to the wiring loom, which isn't doing anything other than introducing a fuse, which I know works because it's also fusing the front lights, and is talking to the ECU, they won't work. So I just gave up and ended up putting some Oxford ones on, and they do what they say on the tin. They go and warm my fingers. So that's that job done. Last time I talked about power being down in here in the glove box. I don't know whether I showed it. Can I actually show it down in there? It's here. It's this, probably this silver thing you can just see. So more sockets. Yeah, so finished power management module and wiring. It works really well. I'm really impressed with it. I have reconfigured it. The point of these things is to set them up to your specific sockets. So you change the amperage, you change how they turn on and off, etc. And while this thing can draw 60 amps, I've got it set up to only draw about 25 or 30 or something like that, because the sockets I'm using and the GPS I'm using don't need any more than that, which is perfect. So yeah, and I mean, wiring's all in, and it just goes, which is exactly what I needed. I've now also run the cabling here to the socket at the back, and this is the last piece. I had laid out on the ground, I think, so these cables here, which are jumper leads, they plug in to, it's too dark, let me go on this way. Yeah, so they plug in to a socket on the back of the bike, which makes the use of them, I mean, just that simple. No getting at the battery, just pop on and off, nice screw cover, and when you're not using them, waterproof cover. It yeah, it's pretty much nice and tidy. So I'm pretty impressed with that. That was a reasonably easy job to do. Camera mount on the back, which I haven't used yet, but it should be some fun coming up. And then the last job that I'm doing, and I'm really just taking my time, is bodywork. So I've decided that I'm going to plastic weld up and bog the results, just to see if I can do it, and also save a bit of money when I finally take the bodywork to be painted. I think I will have it professionally painted. Yeah, so I'm just trying to do lots of the preparation myself, and it's working out really well actually. The technique I'm using is to, I'll show you on the front, it's probably the easiest, is to plastic weld up the main areas and to over weld the area, and then just bring back down to flat with sandpaper the plastic. So I've essentially got a nice flat surface to work with, and then the only bogging I'm having to do, and I'm just using standard car bog, is really just to take out the fine scratches so that you can then use your 2000 grit or whatever to get the body back to a nice paintable surface. And it also means that the actual bog material that I'm using is it's light. It's almost a smear rather than any sort of depth. So I'm hoping that really does the bizzo. And it's stood up. I haven't really done much with these areas other than weld them up and sand them and then ride the bike. And the reason I've done that is because this is probably my first real go at plastic welding on areas that can be seen. So I'm wanting to ride the bike and just see if cracks start appearing back, and that'll tell me that my welding technique was just rubbish. And if they hold up, then obviously I've got that part of it right. So that's it, really. That's where she is at the moment. She's probably due a service soon, so I'll do that next. Looking forward to this service actually. I'll introduce you to that new toy that I've got. I mean, it doesn't look much. It is an oil filter, but it is a reusable one, so I'm going to give it a go. They're a really interesting concept. I'll pull it apart for you so you can see what happens. So basically the center here swivels and then So this is a billet aluminium casing. It has a nice heavy duty rubber seal and is spring loaded with a spring down in there, and that holds this stainless steel mesh, which is a high flow mesh, which means lots more oil gets in and around your engine, but also because it's stainless steel, you can wash them out and reuse them. So this kit was reasonably expensive, I will say that, but if this works over 3 or 4 oil changes, it will pay for itself. Yeah, so and this service will be the first time that goes in and is on the bike. So I'll be able to tell you what that is like probably after the second time round of cleaning the filter out. Yeah, so there we go. Short update. Well, not a short update because I ramble on like an old woman, but an update nonetheless. Hope you enjoyed. Hope that helped someone out. Yeah. See you next time.